Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's time to Nerdfights!
Step into the ring, it's time to brawl. Nerdfights, baby, we're geeking for all. Marvel, DC, Trek, and more.
Fire.
Pop culture battles, settle the score. Nerdfights, let's get loud. Nerdfights, yeah, for the geeky crowd. Nerdfights, hey, it's time to throw down. Bring your fandom, it's the hottest showdown. Who's got the takes? Who's got the heat? Mr. Know-It-All and Salty can't be beat.
That means only one thing. It's time to fight.
Beat drops out with the final shot.
Nerdfights.
Let's fight!
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to Nerdfights. Man, it's so much fun doing it again. Second week in a row. I don't know if we can handle it.
Stan's already hating on it.
Oh, of course. What are you talking about? No, it's going to be good. It's going to be, we're talking all day today. We're going to do nothing but talk about Star Trek Strange New Worlds, which is premiered this week. 2 episodes. One was a continuation, and one was the actual first episode of the season. And I say that because the continuation episode was literally just a holdover from last season.
Right. Which Stan says that it was just a...
Whatever, dude. Oh my God, is he crazy?
Yeah.
Stan's
Stan's just a hater. Mm-hmm.
By the way, tell everything. That's what this is all about, so make sure you're aware.
Yeah.
So yeah, the Trelane Q episode was very disappointing. I didn't find it disappointing at all. I actually thought it was really fun. Not funny and completely nonsensical. Okay, look, you and Robert Meyer Burnett can go hang out somewhere.
Wait. So let me ask you, Stan, what was... I understand if the jokes don't land for you, that's fine, but it wasn't actually primarily a comedic episode.
Sure.
If you pay, and so... but I would ask, what was nonsensical about it? Specifically, what do you think was nonsensical?
Did she say hold space for me?
I
Don't wait for me. She said, don't wait for me. I don't know what you mean by...
I'm not sure what you mean. I don't know Apple saying that.
Me neither.
I remember her saying that maybe she was saying we need to basically be in hold space, kind of like saying the friend zone kind of thing. Which would kind of, when I'm assuming you're talking about their conversation before she left to go see Corby.
Trek reviewer, I'm right there with you, by the way. Both Mrs. Know-It-All and I. My reviews actually, I'm actually like editing this thing. My wife and I we made, so I'll put it out hopefully later tonight or possibly first thing in the morning. My review for the first 2 seasons.
Oh, I'm pissed that Erica did not get killed. Don't get me wrong. I like the
so
character.
We were like, were they building
guts
to it?
were ripped out.
Weren't they building up to it though? Like it felt like
and she was bleeding out on the console.
No, forget that though. I'm talking about it was a goodbye moment.
Right.
Music,
oh, what a great last line! I'm Erica Ortega and I fly the ship. That would have been a great last words for her.
I would have assumed that we were getting Sulu next.
Yeah,
because they're little by little setting up everybody, and I'm like, right on, man.
Yeah. Okay, so the
entire setup, how they became aware of the trick. What is he talking about?
So I'm not sure what he means by the entire setup, because the setup was basically Trelane used his powers to alter people's perception on reality, which, by the way, and just so people know, I did my homework. After watching that episode, I watched Squire of Gothos again to check the continuity things. And yes, Trelane can change your perception of reality. Remember, Trelane not only gave Uhura the ability to play the harpsichord, but she enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so and the other person was just dancing around with him like it was the nicest thing ever. So no, he can absolutely change your perception on things if he wants to.
Hey, Robert, what's up, man?
And yes, Stan, I just answered that he did brainwash people. He brainwashed Uhura directnow
all the time. Yeah, man.
So
it was part of the deal.
Yeah. But as far as
now, do you think? I will ask you this, since we just jumped to that episode. Really, only thing that matters, and I'm totally fine with that. Do you think he is older or younger than the one we saw?
Okay, so obviously, in chronologically, this would be his first appearance, but I think that as far as biologically, if you could say, this is Trelane at the oldest we've seen him, and of course, you know my theory about the youngest we've seen him
Right.
was not in TOS.
I didn't think that TOS mode was silly. You gotta understand, back when these things were coming out, everybody. Okay, hold on, everybody, calm down. When these things were coming out,
By everybody, he means Stanley.
exactly. When these things were coming out, like they had to come up with something because they were spending all their money on Vulcan ears, eyebrows, and the set itself and everything else. They didn't have a whole lot of this, so what they came up with was the fantastic. They came up with these amazing. That's why that's what really was heartbroken about that later on next gen that era lost was that fantastic aspect that once you get to the edge of space, there's like insanity out there, like people with powers and stuff because their consciousnesses have risen to a certain point. And so for me, like to me, there was nothing. I thought it was very like that's what that era like. It wasn't silly or it was. I mean, yes, by comparison today, we look at it and go, "Man, it's silly," but I didn't think I liked it. To me, I said it was very. It was the trek that I'd seen in a while.
Yeah, it felt like this would have been something that. Well, first of all, and since it is now official canon that Trelane is indeed a Q, as everybody suspected ever since Q was introduced.
Ever since, well, there was a book too that I wish I could find.
Yeah,
but
it's Q squared, I believe, is the book.
It's amazing, and I love. And this is such a great. The minute that voice came out, I was like, "Oh, you bastards! Good for you."
And but yeah, the Q have a nasty tendency to like to hop around time.
Yes.
And so the fact that this is probably a Trelane later in life than we saw him in the Squire of Gothos makes a lot of sense. Because that's why Trelane didn't recognize Spock in Squire of Gothos.
Yep.
And I will say this. I take back, I was complaining to you when you and I were talking about it. I said that Spock should have put together that Trelane was the same entity that he ran into before. But
hold on. You got to still that. See, I had stuff like this. Another example of completely changing the Spock character. What? When have we ever seen young Spock from a younger era? Ever?
Oh, we don't know. We did. It was in an episode called The Cage, in which Spock was loud, yelling, and emotional.
But hey, it's okay. But but they're changing the character completely.
Yeah.
Really? Because I'm sorry, but the him telling Corby that if there was ever going to be one of them that intelligence was going to help protect, it was not going to be Corby. That could have been something old Spock was saying to McCoy. It was said so deadpan perfect that I was like, oh my god, that's pitch perfect. He was channeling.
Yeah.
He was channeling Spock from the. It was wonderful.
Yeah, like when McCoy was, "Oh, I don't trust a man that won't come in for his examination." Well, of course, Doctor. He's probably afraid of your beads and rattles.
Okay, so I want to jump to this. The Trek reviewer says this. You had a thought last night when you called me. Please tell him right now what you said, which I love.
It absolutely was Q Junior, Q2. And the interesting thing is that we have now seen Q in reverse chronological order. Because we see Trelane, Q2, if you will.
Hey, Laura, welcome to the show, Laura.
Yeah, because he was at his oldest in what is chronologically his earliest appearance.
That's right.
And then he was a little bit younger in his next appearance from the original series. And then he's younger still when we see him in Voyager, when we see not only him as a young boy, but also his conception. In that graphic sex scene between Q and Q.
Hang on, come here, Salty. He's gonna touch fingers right there. Come on, let's have a kid. Over the side. Oh, there you go.
I need a cigarette now. I didn't know the Q could be gay, but
that's right. Whatever, man.
We're LGBTQ.
Hey, Laura's here, so I'm gonna purposely name drop him. He has this interesting video that talks about how Q invented the mirror universe. It's actually really, really good. If you say, I mean, you guys should check that
Well, like
out.
the mirror universe is a big Q joke.
Oh, it's great. It's such a good. He does really good. He does his in his loriest. Seriously, he does such a wonderful job with it. I love it. But yeah, no. What's this? Spock carrying the torch, worrying about which uniform to wear. Yeah, it looks like the stuff an adolescent would do.
Hmm.
Think about it. In the grand scheme of things, he's what Spock is. He's an adolescent. Gorilla Random Thought says, so you two are married, but now both of you have gay Q sex on the stream.
He's my entity on the side.
That's right. That's awesome. Oh my god. That's the best. Hey, what's going on, Indy? Yeah, man. Oh my gosh.
Of course, to say on the side is thinking in such three-dimensional terms.
No, totally. Okay, so real quick, what do you think? So, what do you think of how the Gorn episode? And I know where everyone's want to talk about the trillion of it all, but I do. So the one thing I did notice was they very conveniently, and I will say this entire era since Discovery, early Discovery, when they were in this time frame before they went to the future, have always very prodigiously used the "this is off the record" as like reasoning for why people don't know about the thing or later on.
Right.
And they got something super similar when they're like, okay, so this mission where we go face this is not on the record. And I was like, okay, I see what you guys did there. And then Pike being all like, did I just leave a problem for someone in the future? Like, yeah.
That was, I mean, a little ham-fisted, although I didn't really have that much of a problem. What?
He just wrapped it up, swept the whole thing under the rug.
Oh, you mean like every cliffhanger ever?
Ever, absolutely. Absolutely. The Borg after Wolf 359, no more problems. We're good.
Yeah.
Never hear about it again.
Heck, the Dominion. Oh my gosh, they have weapons that'll cut right through our shields. Oh, it's fine now.
Hey, Arabic.
And so,
Laura says, I think the problem is people either forget or more likely are so blinded by hatred. Berman Trek, which, God, anyone living in the 90s find that ironic. Totally. I really do. Oh, man, that's awesome.
Well, that's the thing. It's like, I mean,
feel emotions. Vulcans are not androids. They actually feel them.
Right. And Spock is even half human, so he's got less control than most Vulcans. And now Indy, I'll tell you, he brings up the one complaint that my wife had. Remember, not that the actor. It's kind of funny. This is the first time in all of Trek that Scotty has been played by a Scotsman.
Really?
Yes, but.
Awesome. But is he doing an affected, slightly cartoonish version of his accent? Like, is he leaning into it because that's technically how Scotty was? James Doohan was.
I don't know. Because I'm not an expert on Scottish dialect, but
same. I'm not either.
Yeah, but I will say this, and I kind of have to agree with my wife. I don't mind Scotty, but it's like going from that to watching, because we went straight into watching Squire of Gothos.
Yeah.
And James Doohan Scotty, there's two big problems. One, this Scotty is not just younger Scotty. This is baby Scotty.
So, okay.
And James Doohan Scotty is the oldest member of the cast. Now,
I hear you. You said this last night when you called.
That's problem number one. Problem number two, and this one is more my wife than me, but this guy is just too adorable to play Scotty. In comparison to James Doohan, I'm not saying he's a hideous-looking guy, but he's not adorable. He's not like, oh, look, he's so cute. This guy is. This guy looks like, you put big eyes on him and you could sell him to kids, So,
what do you think about? Okay, so how are you feeling about his characterization in terms of how he's? But he, just like Spock, just like Uhura, is very much the beginning of that career. He just hasn't become that guy yet. You know what I mean? Like Pelias.
Sure. Oh, his characterization, I have no problem with. I just physically, and the thing is that even the physical things, I would say this: if you can accept that Anson Mount is the same character as Jeffrey Hunter, then absolutely you can accept that this guy is Scotty.
Absolutely. I love that myself, though I know there's a whole bunch of people on the internet who are going to be like, why does Pelia, this woman, have to teach him how to, because everyone had a teacher.
Yeah.
Why not
And they
being a
established
nigh
last
immortal-
season that she was his teacher.
Why not being a nigh immortal alien like her? I think that's appropriate. You know what I mean? And Lord knows he's going to use it to the fullest.
And I also kind of dig, and this is something they did in Hermione Part 1, but they kind of established... I think well, we'll get into that theory.
I know. Like, I was blown.
We're going to have to make like a gentleman's bet about that.
If nothing else, I could totally see her, because she doesn't seem emotionally attachable. And I feel like he's not either, but she's going to be like, look, the fastest way to get over someone is to get under someone else. And just be like, let's just get this done and you'll be happier again. Trust me. You'll get her out of your system and we'll both be okay.
Here,
you know
touch
what I mean?
my finger.
Yeah. I'm telling you, because I said the same thing. I went, doesn't La'an look like she's, like, I know she's teaching him to dance, and that's not the first time we've seen that in the Star Trek show, but man, she looks like she's a little, like, especially they hung on her when he walks off the scene. And it went after they were done teaching how to dance, and she's kind of just standing there, and I'm like, they hung on her a little too long watching after him.
Right.
It felt like
but I still think that she's going to end up with Ortega.
I think they're planning on shipping the con chick. I love that. La'an's new name is the con chick. Let's go. Wait, that means she's Ricardo Montalban's niece? I don't know. She is. She does speak Spanish. I'm just saying.
No. But yeah, she's like great granddaughter or whatever.
Oh my God, I love Trustin all day. I wish they would get over it and just call it a reboot.
Oh, I'm 100% with that. But in fact, so they've already, in my opinion, kind of last season they soft confirmed that it is a reboot.
I agree.
Because the episode tomorrow, they established that the Romulans have been trying to change Earth history, and at least to some extent were successful, because they push Khan back from 1996 to the mid 21st century. Because in that episode, it's like around 2025, and Khan is just a little kid, which means he's not going to take over the world until like 2040, 2050. So they've already drastically changed history no matter what.
And there's a reason behind it.
Huh?
And at least given now as a reason behind it.
Right. The reason being that the Romulans' incursion being part of the temporal wars, were trying to prevent Khan from ever happening. So I'm totally on board with that. But I think that they need to explore that aspect a little deeper to make it a little more obvious.
Sure. Yeah, that's smart.
And I think, and I know this is one of those things that people be rolling their eyes, but I don't care. I think a fun thing to do would be to have an episode where somebody jumps realities and they do end up in the TOS reality. And so they can use one of these guys that has in their basement a perfect replica of all the TOS sets.
That's the one that, what you call it was just that. Shatner was just that one.
Yeah, well, there's several of them, but I'm just saying that, so it's not like you have to build all the sets. Any of these guys that own one of these sets would be so thrilled to have them actually used in an episode. So, and I think one of them actually lent like their chair or something for the Relics episode.
Yes.
So I don't think that would be an issue as far as getting permission to do that. And so you have like some kind of reality jumping thing where you find out if the Romulans hadn't done the incursion, this is what the Enterprise would have looked like. And you put Anson Mounts, Pike, and all the rest of the crew in there. But it's somehow the reality is different because the Romulan incursion never happened.
Right. That's right. There you go. Super dry material, but yes, you're totally correct.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that honestly,
really, the hair product joke was good at least. I hate you.
Yeah, I did like the hair product joke.
So did I.
Especially since Anson Mount complimented my hair, so that's still the single
Yeah,
greatest thing that's
high
ever
praise.
happened to me in my life.
High praise. That's
Yeah,
all there is
I
to it.
mean, there's birth of my kids, my marriage. Anson Mount says my hair
I
is better than
mean,
his.
just saying, I'm just saying what we're all thinking.
Yeah, it's just like not even on the same level.
Darren, wow, what a stinker those first two episodes of Strange New Worlds were. Just what I've come to expect from this show. The whole thing has been lackluster. Yeah, no, clearly I feel like you're watching a different show because I loved every minute of it. I thought it was fun. I thought it was really fun. In fact, I gave these probably two of the highest scores I've given any of the openings of the season.
I don't understand why all the hate. I really don't.
Me neither. No clue. I think
I mean,
because
I guess
to live in the past only and doesn't want to see anything ever.
And honestly, some of you guys that are hating on it right now, what would make this a good show to you? Do you want it to look exactly like? Does it have to look exactly like Star Trek: The Original Series, and have it written like Star Trek: The Original Series exactly? It doesn't have to, because people like me said all this stuff about TNG.
Yeah.
Now granted, for the first 2 years of TNG, people like me were 100% right. However, TNG grew, and I would say this: when people were bitching and moaning about Discovery,
yeah,
they were right. I think
it's to pretend, because like right now Darren's saying that they haven't had they haven't. Remember when Star Trek was smart? And I'm like, bro, Star Trek's it's been very smart. Also, you know what else I remember? I remember when Star Trek was dumb. I remember things like what do you call it? When they go for shore leave. How about that?
How about How about this? How about when Star Trek was really smart? Was when a colony was wiped out by a magical ice cream man, and all the kids got superpowers from it.
Remember that one? That was good.
Yeah, that was really smart. Or
what
was really smart was when the hippies took over the Enterprise in order to go to magical Eden, where all the plants are made of acid.
That's exactly the one.
Not acid the drug, literal acid.
Oh my god, that's awesome.
So. Yeah, because Star Trek was always super duper smart.
Stanley's absolutely right. Reminds you of the fake melodramatic sci-fi show The Robot Watches in Murderbot. You're absolutely correct. I
haven't watched Murderbot yet. Is it good?
Murderbot's brilliant, bro. Murderbot is so smart. I literally was like, oh my god. Let's see. We didn't meet Pike until he was promoted to fleet captain also. Yeah.
What about it? They did that. You don't remember?
Who, me?
Well, was somebody complaining?
Yeah, he said right here.
Yeah, that happened in Strange New Worlds. Were you not, were you sleeping during that episode?
You busy complaining.
The first time that Pike meets Kirk, keep in mind, when Pike and Kirk meet in the episode from season 1, that was an alternate history, so that doesn't count. When Pike and Kirk meet in season 2 is really their first chronological meeting in the prime timeline here. And Pike was assigned multiple ships and therefore given the temporary rank of fleet captain in that episode. And that's when he met Kirk. So yes, that line from Kirk was accurate.
Again, though, I go back to this idea that there's never been any smart, like, remember when Star Trek was smart? And I'm like, look, guys, because you want to idealize it to the, 12 episodes that were like stellar, unbelievable, like pieces of science fiction in the TOS one, I'm exaggerating. I know there were more than 12. But because I'm sorry, not all 79 were bangers. And the same thing with TNG. Not all 200 and whatever were bangers.
Okay? Oh, the Naked Now, that was a great episode.
Naked Now is straight.
Justice. There's a great episode for you. You want some smart TV. Justice.
No, for real. Oh my gosh. But yeah, no, my thing is like, but it's so funny because you sit here and you look at the show and you say to yourself, well, like to me, I thought it was wonderful. I think it was the first episode actually. No, second episode maybe of season 1 of Strange New Worlds, where Pike gives that speech to that one alien race that they were the first encounter for. And I thought that was a wonderful speech. People try to politicize it today, but I'm like, but the thing is, it worked. It was I thought it was great.
Right.
You know, he has these really good, and I think, golly, is he constantly making now? If I had to have I'm put my criticism hat on. So everybody doesn't think I'm just shilling for the show. I noticed, especially because you and I have recently in recent history talked about technobabble and its use in next gen and everything else.
Oh, the technobabble. Oh my gosh.
I'm listening to it.
When they came up with the solution.
I heard it, and I'm listening. All I can hear is you going, "Why are you guys just saying things? You're just saying."
I was so mad at that.
I knew you would be.
I was so, I don't even remember what the stupid well, if we can create a resonance frequency that'll create an X-ray solar burst of blah, 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 blah. I'm like, what are you talking about?
Well, and also the view screen isn't an actual view screen. The view screen is a physical window that has holographic or HUD overlays. And then it can zoom in and stuff, but an actual window. Like if the ship were to get hit in the screen, there's a problem. They got a problem. If you remember, they can apparently also open it.
But keep in mind that these ships are also the primary defense of a starship is its shields, not its.
Justin, I love you. That's exactly right. You are correct. As a next gen
I agree.
I used to laugh at TOS people and vice versa. And yes, if we can't laugh at some aspect, because I'm sorry, I have one thing to say: Star Trek, and all of us have a nostalgic for how much we hated it, and the things that were like, this was a good idea, but then they had to go and try to find God. Very weird. You know what I mean? Like we all have those weird things about the shows and the movies that we love that are just dumb. And I'm down.
And whatever your favorite Trek series is, you're going to forget about the clunkers in that series.
Here you go, Robert says, tomorrow night's Me TV TOS episode is the one where a transporter creates two Kirks by splitting them in two. Now that's great Trek.
You know what? But here's the interesting thing. That one is smart and dumb at the same time.
Right. It wants to do some intelligent things, and
it really does. It talks about the human psyche and the fact that if we don't have anger, we don't have aggression, and we don't have these things, then we couldn't be an effective person. But at the same time, we have to have compassion
It also gives Shatner a platform to the best
melodramatic ever. That was the Shatneriest Shatner of all Shatner.
Totally. It was who that ever shat. Here we go. Darren said, let me switch gears and give some praise to the show. I thought the effects were outstanding as always. I always like Scotty Anson Mount has his usual awesome self. Anson Mount is amazing. I love him. Especially for a guy who now I know is he's an actor first. He's versus like I think Ethan Peck is more a Trekker first, like a Trekkie first, who like really loves the show and loves what they're doing, and then is an actor.
Yeah, but to Anson Mount, it's a job.
But he does it an excellent job.
Yeah, he's a professional, but it's a job.
Yeah,
which is how most of the original series cast felt until all of a sudden they became icons.
Yeah,
you remember I'm Not Spock?
Oh yeah.
I think the best moment was probably William Shatner's "Get a Life" moment on Saturday Night Live.
One of the best. God, I had that on VHS forever. I had that.
Yeah. Something that I did as a lark on TV for 3 years into a colossal waste of time.
Yep. It was on a VHS tape that I got at a Star Trek convention that started with the bloopers that look horrible, like they just so have been copied after copied after copied. Then it went into the next gen bloopers. Actually, it went to those old bits and sketches, including the one from Night Court and the one from there was a Doctor Medical show. I forget which one it was, where they spoofed Star Trek. Oh yeah, tons of that stuff.
Yeah.
And I think it's okay for people to find it to be just a job. Some of the best producers, writers hadn't even watched the show before writing it. I agree. I do agree with that.
But bottom line, as far as Hegemony Part 2, except for the technobabble,
do you realize you said it like 5 different ways?
I know, because I don't know how to pronounce the stupid word.
Hegemony.
Yeah, I don't know. It's the Lizard Part 2. I would say this. I liked the episode overall. I think that it was a better follow-up to Part 1 than Best of Both Worlds Part 2 was to Best of Both Worlds Part 1. And when I say that, what I mean is when I watched Best of Both Worlds Part 2, it was a whole lot of nothing. Like we start out and we're like fire, and nothing happens, and then we find out, ooh, big battle at Wolf 359, and we never see it.
I
And
know.
everything is a whole lot of build up to nothing, right? And yes, and by the way, all the visual effects shots in the final battle were recycled from part one.
Oh, totally.
So we didn't even get anything new there.
Yeah.
And of course, then they just put him to sleep. Yawn. Now, did they have a similar final solution as far as causing the Gorn to hibernate? Yes, that is a similar solution. But it's the execution that was so much better.
Although one was literal and the other one was technical. But they basically were the same thing. You're right.
Well, yeah, but you know what? But it kind of is logical that if certain stellar events can cause the Gorn to go into these frenzy modes, then other stellar events would cause them to go out of frenzy mode.
Yeah,
And
totally.
so that makes sense as far as the Gorn are a very primal type creature that
Hey, what's going on,
somehow that somehow has the advanced technology. Maybe we'll learn more about their culture in the future. I'd like to. But the execution of part two in this season was much more exciting, much more dramatic, and much more suspenseful than Best of Both Worlds Part Two.
I'll agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's on a much simpler note that's less uber like technical and all this other stuff. I loved hearing Pike say, "And now the conclusion,"
yeah.
because I feel like it's it's become a two-parter thing.
I do got to say, I genuinely thought characters were gonna die.
Terrific. Yeah. So the Gorn are going to stay in hibernation until Arena.
Maybe not all of them. Maybe they will.
A very long cycle. And that's only like 5-6 years in the future. Like
Right.
they're not super far away, and like that's not far away. It totally can be that.
And the thing is that what we know is that because remember they don't even know for sure that was the Gorn homeworld. That was their speculation.
But it's a wonderful one too about how the magnetics and the whole gravity thing makes it look kind of invisible to sensors. I was
Yeah.
like, that would be really smart. Robert
Right.
here says, I don't GI Gorn from the Enterprise episode. The newer one's just not as imposing as the original Gorn.
All right, so hold on. I got to say something about that. Hold on.
Are you talking about the original show, or are you talking about this one?
No, he's talking about. Well, first of all, let me say this: there have not.
About this
You
one real
have-
fast. This one right here, the actual the Gorn currently, not the original. I'll let you comment on the Gorn original.
Oh yeah, no, I'm not talking about the Gorn rubber suit.
So I like is this season. I think this season, that first episode, that's those have looked. Last season they looked like the Halo villains, and then the first season when they were just the little guys, they absolutely looked cartoonish. So I feel
However, but this is where I gotta cut in because this pisses me off that people say this all the time.
go for it.
Every single close-up shot you saw of a Gorn was not CGI.
Yeah.
The only time you saw CGI Gorn was when they were in a distance running around scampering in the background.
No, yeah.
Whenever you make out their features, those were puppets, people. And look at the behind the scenes. Those were all puppets. They were not CGI Gorn. I'm so sick of people just blaming CGI for problems. If you don't like the design, I'm fine with that. I get it. Yes, they radically changed it from man in rubber suit. But at the same, but is that what you want? Is it? And that's the problem for people that are complaining that the show is too different. Do you want to see a guy in a rubber suit going, "Yes, I will get you"? Is that what you want?
Well, according to some people, that was super imposing. I don't know. But I'm with you, Darren. Darren says I thought Ortega's losing some fingers was a bit shocking. I
Okay.
have to agree with that. I was like, what?
I thought her losing fingers was shocking. I was disappointed. Not ever mentioned again.
Yeah. Well, and apparently what they do?
I'm sure they did something to regrow them.
Yeah.
They had 3 months. So Dr. Mbanga could have done like dermal regenerator or whatever magic tech to regrow her fingers. But at the same time, they never address it. Because obviously what happened to them is that she was being gnawed upon by the Gorn.
I mean, every now and again, I graze. You walk by, take a little
Yeah.
snack, whatever.
Just grab your dog. And,
Oh, Darren, see, now you've come to play. Would it be interesting if what the Strange New World crew did to the Gorn in the premiere made them look like the ones in TOS Enterprise?
maybe
Right?
it will.
Bro, every time they go into their hibernation thing, they like go a little further in evolution. And next time
Well,
we see them, humanoid, or they even like conform to the new whatever, the new
well, we
threats.
also don't know, like, because, and not be aware of this, Darren, or maybe you do and you just don't care. But the one of the producers said when they were talking about the changes in the Gorn, and people were complaining early on when they first saw the Gorn, and this was just when we saw the baby Gorn, is they said, yes, it's true, we kind of fudged canon a little bit. However, here's our excuse. And so at least they came up with something. And that was that if you listen to Kirk in Mina, when he's grabbing his translator device and recording himself, he says, I'm locked into combat with a creature apparently called a Gorn, right? Now,
Why do you
people
sound
think-
like off-brand Donald Trump?
actually, it's more like off-brand Zap Brannigan, I think.
Okay, yeah,
But,
totally. Right on.
But the reason that what they're saying is that what Kirk meant there was not that he never heard of a Gorn before. It's that, and in fact, when the Metron said, "and the captain of the Gorn vessel," they kind of cut to Spock, and he's like, like he knows what a Gorn is, you know. But he's when Kirk,
we're all finding meaning in all the looks now, and that's totally fine.
right. But when Kirk said apparently called a Gorn, he's like, this isn't what a Gorn looks like. So it would.
Real quick, Indy says that just the antenna on the Andorians. No, you did not. What you saw was the classic Star Trek giving you the Andorians without giving you the Andorians.
What's there? I thought there were antenna in that shot.
No, the one of the. I mean, it might have been like real brief.
Yeah, because
like,
it was a very blurry reflection that you saw.
Yeah.
Now I got to go there and see.
All right, see, Darren. This is what I like. This is the kind of. That's what I like to see, sir.
What do you say?
I kind of want to see the Strange New Crew, Strange New Worlds, and encounter some redesigned Tholians now.
I wouldn't mind seeing that either, because there's nothing about the Tholian web that says that they've never encountered the Tholians, only that they've not seen the Tholian web weapon specifically.
Got it. Lore Reloaded says the Spock look, so I imagine now the captain of the Gorn, and then cut to Spock just looking at the camera with eyebrow raised in a vacant look. That's awesome. I totally I get. See what I'm saying? Like we're just making all the looks meek.
Every look has meaning.
It does. It totally does. Kenneth says the second episode reminds me of Mr. M from the Fifth Dimension. Oh, totally. Well, that's kind of what they've always been. Q and those guys, those extra dimensional beings with the snapping finger things. You know, whether it's Q, Trelane, the Guardian of Forever, just doing stuff. Like everybody just does things at this point.
And by the way, it's true that like Q was more, and this is what I thought was interesting. They kind of changed up Trelane's mannerisms just enough to make him almost like halfway in between Trelane and Q. Because Trelane did use hand gestures to initiate his powers. He did not so much snap his fingers like he did in this. But Q would constantly snap his fingers to use his powers.
That's right.
And so what they did in this was he did the hand gesture with a snap. So it was kind of a combination of both.
It really was. No, it was good.
Yeah. Let's see.
And then Trelane does say, he does say, I'm not even, I kept calling him Trelane, not Trelane. He says, I'm not even blue to a couple of the Andorians. You guys couldn't even see that I wasn't even blue. I did, yeah, I remember that line. That was good. Lore's right. Every Q had a different activation of their powers, it seems.
Yeah.
You know, the one that stuck with me was that half Q girl that was hitting on Riker, how she used to keep going, like, she would just twist her little wrist and, like, things would happen. I was like, I remember from Next Gen, I liked her. Her little move was kind of cool.
Let's see here.
What are you looking for?
I'm looking for the first appearance of Wedding Planner Q.
I feel I feel like in that little segment behind you, you've encapsulated yourself fully. There's the Bible, there's a Ghostbusters cup, and then there's a Star Wars helmet. Those
Well, don't forget, there's Wolverine right there too.
okay.
I just need to get something good that's Star Trek up here.
Yeah, imagine that.
Well,
Oh
consider
yeah. When here we go. I love it. Or when she forced Riker to love her because it's okay to take away consent from someone. Yeah, 10 out of 10 character there. Yes. Hey man, I remember when Trek was smarter.
That's just good, man.
That's just good storytelling, bro. All I'm saying.
Q is always.
Isn't that what we saw? The Bolians? Wasn't that who they were? The blue people?
I don't know if those were some. I
thought they were
keep getting I'm getting my species mixed up.
Lying down the middle of the face.
Yeah, but are they the ones that need the special air breathing apparatus, or is that something that?
I thought it was something else. Oh no, maybe it wasn't that originally. There was someone.
Well, there were 2 episodes where they had the breathing thing, and where they had the dry ice machine in their face.
Oh no, but then I thought later we saw that evolve to like a collar that just kept putting like a
right. But in this, you would think this is a prequel, so you would think they need the breathing,
like a whole apparatus.
Yeah, like a helmet or something.
Totally. Benzites need the air breathing.
Okay, it's benzites. Okay, thank you,
Darren. Appreciate you, brother.
Yeah. I get making jeans. I get a little mixed up.
Laura gets the comment of the night. So all people of a specific color look the same to you. Is that what I'm hearing? Yes, that is exactly.
All blue people look. You know what? Blue lives matter, man.
I'm just gonna say it. All you white people look the same to me. I just nod and smile, and hopefully something about you I recognize.
Except for me, because I have better hair than Anson Mount.
That's it. Now you wear it down. So I now know you as the white guy who wears his hair down.
Yeah. And so, and that's why, you can recognize different Orions, because there's Orions and Orions.
By the way, the chat is showing its absolute geekiness, and I love you guys so badly. We got Benzite, the Benzite, the Bolians. Everyone's like, this character, that character. I love it. Keep it up, guys.
Yeah, Mr. Mott, the barber. So the only thing that Bolians are good in.
We all basically share the same 5 names, so it's fairly easy to cover up if you don't recognize us.
Hey, Jim. Jack. Frank. Steve.
Hold on. Darren says, we need more blue aliens in Star Trek. Yeah, but Darren, we know how you'd like them to look, okay? I've been on your timeline.
There are definitely antenna.
Okay, you saw. Did you bring it up? Is that what you did?
I'm looking at it right now on the screen. It is 100%. Though there are antenna on that. Okay, so if you didn't see it, maybe you were watching it on your phone, but they are definitely there.
Yeah, Mott the barber though. That was our first. Good call. I love it. Good stuff.
But yes, so the
antenna have to be Andorian. I agree.
Yeah.
What about can I ask you a question? Why did they make such a big show? And maybe because I'm asking the chat and I'm asking you because you might know. Mm-hmm. Why did they make such a big deal about the 3-armed bartender? There was a officer in the animated series that was one of those.
Yeah, she's the same species, I believe.
But why are they making such a thing out of it?
Because I think they're trying to say, "Hey, look, we got one of those."
She's the token 3-arm girl.
Yeah, she's Goat Boy's grandmother or something. I don't know.
I love it.
Although she looks way better than Goat Boy did.
No, for real.
Goat Boy straight up looked like a goat. She does look like a person with makeup.
Yeah, absolutely.
And an extra arm.
Robert mentions that the Horta was actually a pretty darn alien-looking alien, and I think you're right.
Yeah, but the original series, they had the Horta, they had a few energy beings, they had the Excalbians. They were...
So real quick, I have a thought about this. Did they need a new Guinan? Okay, I don't think they needed a new Guinan. What I do think is somewhere, along the line...
They need Isaac.
They have begun to establish that there are hierarchical species evolutionary levels. And I don't mean just beyond, like, what is our current level, like we're a class, whatever species and something else, though that probably plays some measure of plays into it somewhat. But I do have the feeling that, like, the Q in those are of a type. Then you get, like, you get the Guinans and the Pelias and the whatever those long living species are, and then you get to something like more like the Vulcans who are longer living, but then you get to like us who are just pretty standard. So I don't know. I feel like there's a world in which those hierarchies are supposed to be showing how we're all supposed to ascend, like as we go. So eventually,
Right, but
long living
just once,
we destroy ourselves out.
I'd really like them to go to a planet where humans are like 10 times stronger than the aliens.
Totally.
So they'll be like, we'll take him on, and then you're just like,
I feel like it's super frail. Those would be super frail because we're not nothing. Like we're not resilient or strong or anything. But anyway.
Well, I'm just saying, if you had people that grew up on the moon, they'd only have 1/3 our strength. They'd have
right. And it'd be very, very. They'd be British.
Very low bone density.
Yes.
So you punch them in the face, and their skull collapses.
What is wrong with you?
I'm just saying, that would,
All right, here we go. A serious question. Are you theorizing all species in Trek are evolving to godlike beings, kind of explain Q's fascination with humans? So, okay, great. He's asking a serious question. I feel like whether Star Trek meant to or not, and this is me as a Star Trek fan making a bunch of threads make sense. It's literally what you do on your channel. I feel like, yes. I feel like if you survive long enough to not destroy yourself, there is a path that leads eventually to that next stage,
right?
However long it takes, and then over time, now like Guinan species became exploratory, but they were like, we're going to do it undercover, incognito, and go around everywhere, and then the next and then the next. So yeah, I do think that there is sort of Star Trek has presented us with that.
But the thing is that unfortunately, most of these evolved species.
Totally down, brother. Totally down.
Yeah. I'm not talking about because there are completely, and by the way, another complete alien that was left out. The brain parasites from Operation Annihilate, the giant, the giant amoeba from the Immunity Syndrome. There were a lot of non-human aliens in the original series, but so not counting completely unrelated to human species, the giant space amoeba or the stuff like that. If we look at, I would love to, and this is something we could do, I think maybe after Strange New World is done, is to try to do a honest to goodness ranking of who's more evolved.
That would be cool.
Because first personally,
that's such nerd bait.
Yes, I know. For me personally, I put the Organians at the very top.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
And now, of course, we're not counting things like Nagilum, because Nagilum is obviously not an evolved human. You remember Nagilum?
Yes. Took me a second. I was thinking about it. Took me a second.
Right.
Oh, wow, cool. That's a great idea. Darren says, I don't lose your thought, by the way, Salty. I'd also like to see Strange New World crew do some first contacts with familiar races like Betazoids, Binars, and Trills. That would actually be dope.
I wouldn't mind seeing that either, except... at least in the case of Binars, they were introduced in Enterprise.
Well, either way, but the ideas,
yeah,
you know what I mean? Those kind of things would be really cool.
No, I think it'd be, and that's where, like when you was mentioning the Tholians before. Yeah. Maybe they haven't encountered the Tholians yet. Sure. Just like, I remember at the beginning of season 1, the Gorn, very little was even known about them. Now we've had an all-out confrontation with them.
The 10C are good aliens. The 10C are probably one of the few species, and there's a handful of them that break I'm talking about. But remember, the rule I'm talking about depends kind of on the progenitors almost, or at least, and that's me, by the way, not embracing what Discovery later on says about them. That's assuming that they are originally the thing they were planned and intended to be. And I feel like that sort of could be part of that thing. But there would be actual alien, meaning non-humanoid, so not 2 arms, 2 legs, or at least some version of this that would have been part of the whole thing, right? Right? Wouldn't that make sense?
But we're talking about basically evolved humanoids. Because that seems to be its own classification, because you do have the Q, you have the Metrons, you have the Organians.
But Q even said he took on that form for us. So we don't know what his original form was. He just chose because
He said no. I'm
showed up with
pretty
other
sure at
things.
some point he said that they were like us in the past.
Okay, all right, that's
You know,
fair.
and you can even look at the corporeal beings that we know have improved over time and rank their evolution. Even like, for example, the Borg with biomechanical evolution.
Sure.
You know, and you have goat boy species with 3 arms, and you have the Vulcans and the Klingons and all that. And so we can kind of compare both the corporeal and non-corporeal beings and how further evolved they appear to be.
No, that's, by the way, that's what I was going from. I thought Q's original form was that globe with 3 snakes coming out of it.
Except that's not true. That is
No, and I know
actually,
he says LOL, but I just think it's. But that's like the first time we saw him, and I'm like, can you imagine? And he was like, "This is a much better form. I need to take this one." Besides that, we're that much better. Oh my god!
I'm trying to remember what it was called, so I'm looking it up real quick.
Lore says, like us in the past, quote unquote, of a stretch,
Yeah.
but he and the Q and Voyager referred to being like human/Federation in the past, more in a philosophical sense, idealistic, curious. And then he said that's at least his interpretation of the 2 episodes. And I'm sorry, with a name like Lore Reloaded, I kind of want to lean on his interpretation. I'm just saying.
Yeah. So yeah, Q was an Aldebaran serpent.
Is that what that was?
Yes.
Okay, right on.
Which,
wow, we're getting sweaty and deep in the lore tonight.
Which, by the way,
man.
Guess when the Aldebaran serpent's appearance?
When was that?
1973.
Yeah.
But not the animated series.
What really? What was it? Was it a comic book?
No. And in fact, I had it. That's the funny thing. Let me see. Save image. And then,
the Trek reviewer says, "I wonder what the Zinkethi look like."
Which one should the Zinkethi help me out? I'm spacing.
Like I said, you have a computer in front of me too. The Q. Yeah, you go.
Huh?
What is it? Hold on, Indy. What is this, Indy? 1973 would have to be the episode if it wasn't a book. Lore said. Indy says the Q were created when the intergalactic ship Enterprise Q broke down in the galactic barrier, the first back into the past to create the galactic barrier. True facts.
All right.
What is Goat Boy's name again? Aravic asks.
Is it Eris? Something like. Okay, I'm sharing the image.
Are you? Okay. Hold on. Let me get it up here. Oh my God, look at you.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That is a model kit from 1973. And yes, I had that model kit.
That is awesome. Darren says he's going to be adding, in honor of Lore Reloaded, he's going to be adding the Packlids to the races. He'd like.
Okay, so the Packlids might be one of the very few races that's human.
Yeah, that's true. I could see that.
Yeah. And honestly, and let me ask you this: as far as when we get to that, would you put the Gorn above or below human? Because they're physically superior, but they seem much more primal in their behavior.
I feel like because they lack. I don't know if they lack a cognitive ability to communicate because they were able to communicate
They came with Kirk, and they communicate with each other through EM pulses.
Laura said he had the idea of breaking down the Zinkethi Federation War and imagining, since never shown, had it in my mind. I thought of the Kilrathi, not the Zinkethi. That's awesome. Yeah, the whole big crossover idea and stuff. That's awesome. Is their technology superior? I would argue it is not. I would argue, though they have gone a different direction with it, I would argue it's
well, I would say this: like if you want to look at Gorn technology,
right,
and trying to compare it to the Federation, it would be like comparing Germany in the 1940s to the rest of the world. Was their technology superior? No, they just had a strategy, a blitzkrieg that completely overwhelmed their enemies.
Right.
And so that's exactly what the Gorn do, because they send way more than you can handle. And so it's not that they're we saw, I mean, like the Enterprise was able to take down their ships. And in fact, even in the Memento Mori, that one torpedo easily took down one of their ships.
Right.
But the problem was, in that episode, Enterprise was basically disarmed and going against a small fleet. So, they were kind of screwed. And the Gorn do use good hunter strategy.
Phoenix Gundam says the Gorn are now a species that rivals some 80s gorehound horror aliens hundreds of years later. Q, the Borg are scarier.
Well, the interesting thing about...
That is how Q did it too. Q was like, Q got pissed off because we didn't want to talk to him. And he was like, oh, really? Deal with that nonsense. And you're like, ah!
But, Q did warn Q2 not to provoke the Borg. Yeah. And the way that he said it, it didn't sound like he was joking about it.
Well, he probably honestly, he feels bad. In his own personal way, he probably feels bad about having unleashed the Borg on us way earlier than...
No, I think there's more to it than that. Because, really? Yeah, I do. Because if a Q is in his corporeal form, as we see, like, for example, John... And notice, generally speaking, their corporeal form is a specific form. Right?
Sure. He didn't, though he could be other people. Never really showed up as other people.
Right. And so, well, just like we saw Trelane masquerade as others, but we also saw Trelane's true form was Trelane.
Right.
Okay. I think Q, the classic Q, his true form is John Delancey. Right. So if they're in their corporeal state, I think they're every bit as vulnerable as any other corporeal being. And I think that if a Borg got nanoprobed to a Q, that would be very bad. And so don't provoke the Borg, because even though innately the Q are much more powerful, if the Borg actually managed to assimilate a Q, it would be game over for the universe.
I can't imagine they could, though. Couldn't, like...
Why? He's just... Think about it. Cisco decked Q and he went down. If Q was truly... I know people like to say, oh, Q is on. If Q were omnipotent, Cisco would have punched him in the face and shattered his hand.
Yeah, no, not necessarily. Not necessarily. Q plays along. He wants to. What's the point in being? He flexes.
He was shocked when and he was like, "Ow!"
Okay, so it's not exactly omnipotent. Okay, I think it's more like he's.
Well, he calls himself omnipotent.
I know, but I think he's more like omnireferenceable. He can reference the information. He knows that he's looking for it.
Well, and I think
it's not like how people perceive God. How God literally is all knowing and has all the information, because essentially he wrote everything. I feel like this is more. Q is much more like, I can reference the info. Like, oh, I need to find out what happened on this day. Yeah, that was crazy.
Okay, think about this for a second.
It's not just there. You know what I mean?
Now that we have officially canonized that Trelane is in fact a Q, all right, we see that their omnipotent powers are done through devices. All right, we saw that in the original series. So that means that if a Borg managed to assimilate a Q, they may not suddenly gain magical powers, because I don't think the Q are magically powerful. Ooh. I think they would suddenly understand that tech. Imagine the Borg, that kind of tech.
So Lord just said, okay, so consider this. If there was a depowered Q, he still has all knowledge everywhere. If a Q got assimilated after, we also have reason to believe depowered is rare, but it does happen. True.
It's only happened once that I think we've seen, right?
Yes.
And so, is it that he was truly depowered, or was he like cut off from the tech? Because, and that's another thing.
I heard it too. Somebody
Oh,
goes,
that's the way my chair squeaks
I
sometimes.
know. I thought it was so funny though because I heard it also. Now that he says it, I was
Yeah.
like,
But like, if we look at, like, for example, if Q was innately able to do all the things that he does, if that was just a part of their evolution, then just taking it away would be kind of, because he would no longer be a Q. And the same thing, by the way, when Q gave the power to Riker, he gave Riker access to that. Even though Riker may not have completely understood it on a conscious level, he gave Riker access to that tech.
you know why they're not omnipotent? Honestly, why they're not all powerful? They have the capacity to take and remove power from one another, and voluntarily. Like
Yeah.
the fact that he was able to, you're right. All he did was give Riker access.
Mm-hmm.
He did not in any way, shape, or form. He had to
Didn't
try
change Riker.
But I'm saying, yeah, he didn't physically. So otherwise, Riker could have stopped him from taking his powers away and whatnot. And Riker could have even taken Q's powers away. Maybe he didn't even think about it. But anyway, my point is, like, I don't think that they're. That's why I think that that's mostly show business. Now,
I think
they are
Q.
long-lived. I think they're immortal. I think they're all those things. But I feel like
I agree. They're very long lived and all that. They're highly evolved.
they
And,
sell
and
themselves much harder than the reality.
right. I would, yeah, but as far as innate power level, no, I think that they are a perfect example of Asimov's rule that, any technology sufficiently advanced would appear to be magic.
Really, you think that?
Yeah, and that's all the Q are. They appear magic, but that's just because their tech is like at the singularity level.
So what about when Q brought some of the folks to his realm, and he said, "This is how it has to appear, so you can perceive it. Like it has to look like this." So that
There have been a dozen aliens that have done that. The Malkotians, the Organians, the stupid demon angel people in the center of the galaxy from the animated series. There's a race after race after race will create a conventional environment so that you don't have to like have your mind blown by how bizarre and awesome their real stuff is. And maybe, just maybe, they don't want Janeway seeing what the magic mirror really is.
True story.
Yeah. Because if Janeway got Trelane's magic mirror, she'd be disappearing people all day.
That's awesome.
So, I think that it is. I think it is absolutely that the Q are a highly technological species.
I don't know, man, because again, I think that's I feel like that's a very Doctor Who type reasoning. I kind of prefer the idea that they're just evolved people who've kind of reached that level and they can now like matter and reality bended at their will.
But if that were the case, they wouldn't need tech at all. And even in like Voyager, we see the Q use tech.
Robert asks, if Q's powers are technologically based, explain Gary Mitchell's power base.
Gary Mitchell is not a Q.
No, but explain. But
okay, so
we
that's
believe,
actually Gary Mitchell is where humans will eventually be. That's what Gary Mitchell is. He's what humans eventually evolve into when they reach that level, when they reach the Organian level.
Right.
Or at least, well, Gary Mitchell was on his way to it. We didn't actually see him at that level except for in that non-canon short with the digital Kirk.
Stanley thought it was interesting that they mentioned an age for Trelane, not Trelane, when
Yeah.
no Q has ever really given an age. They've always just sort of been.
That's what they were saying because he was a baby. He's
See,
only 8.
That's the thing that lends itself to the idea that they've evolved. They have said, he has said that he has seen things and blah blah blah. Well, sure, if you can now ride through time at the whim of at the drop of a hat, then why wouldn't you go see stuff? That doesn't make you old. That just means you're well traveled. You know what I mean? So Q
Mhm.
could say he saw the birth of Christ, or he saw the fall of a particular species.
Right.
That means he chose to go visit that situation. Remember, most of the times when we see Qs, they are fascinated and interested in exploring and seeing things. They're just seeing it from a slightly elevated perspective. I mean, does that make sense?
Well, and I think though that like I think what it is the Q are so detached.
Phoenix Gundam, I love you. I thought humans would eventually become salamanders. I'm with you, bro. Totally.
Well, they'll become sours and then Gary Mitchell.
That's right.
Well.
Somewhere there's nigh godlike salamander kids are looking for their parents.
No. Then what happens is we evolve into koalas.
Hey, there you go.
We got to bring some lower decks into this.
That's right.
Let's see.
Let's hope Alex Bogey doesn't come on. He might do something bad, Godson says.
Yeah, Alex Bogey was a bad last time he was on.
Phoenix says Salamander Gary Mitchell. I love it. That's right. King Know It All and Queen Salty. As long as you're the queen, I'm good, bud. I'm good. Hold on. Or as Indy says, Sala Mitchells.
Sala Mitchells. Yes, that is the name.
I want Sala Mitchells now. I want a shirt that says Sala Mitchells.
That's what we need to do when we ever get swag going. Like you have a salamander in like a Christ pose floating in the air shooting lightning. And it'll say Sala Mitchells, and then under it say like, get it?
I'm not ignoring the YouTube chat. I'm trying to keep track and have a conversation. These are two very distinct skill sets, my friend. I'm doing my best. Were you calling us out? Because it's funny. I actually scrolled through trying to be like, what did I say that made him I was trying to find where that connection happened to respond. Jerk. I'm kidding. I love you. You're good, bro. Are the Q limited to the galaxy? I don't think they are, because they actually talk about exploring other stuff. Phoenix Gundam says on that shirt, make sure he's all glowy-eyed. Because you got to be glowy-eyed. Oh, here we go. He goes, I did. You were incorrect on the Q and how we don't see them depower. Okay, he's talking about you, because not anything like that. That was him.
Right, well,
he was incorrect. Sure. It is literally Laura and everybody else's in the chat's job to tell him how he's incorrect. That's what keeps him salty.
Tell me how I'm incorrect? But I'm never incorrect. I just sometimes adjust my position.
Surely you must be joking. No, I'm not.
I'm not joking. And stop calling me Shirley.
Stop calling me Shirley. I'm not your bro, pal. I love it. Good job, Lore. It did have a sort of a TNG voice. It wasn't Major Barrett, but it was very close. Indy says, Mitchamanders. Never one to let the joke die. That's dedication to the bit. I love it. Keep going. A second Q was depowered in Voyager and committed suicide. They were concerned about where to put him because he knows everything, because he knew everything. Wow.
I remember the suicide one. I don't remember that particular plot point because Voyager is like a bad nightmare to me.
There are many moments in Voyager that felt like this is the longest slog of my life.
Yeah.
so I'm with you. I didn't catch every nuance and all the times. So.
And if I'm trying to look up something right now because to support or this is one of those. I'm testing a theory, so this will either support my theory or destroy it.
Godson brings up the excellent point that a younger Michael would sue Lore Reloaded for $1 million. Guess what? He probably has a video having done that at some point. Michael's got a lot of old video, trust me, of younger Michael doing all kinds of crazy things.
Oh, yeah. Let's see.
What are you looking for now?
Oh, I told you, I'm looking to test a theory.
Okay.
To try and see. Let's see. Younger. So Q and female Q had
Don't they just refer to themselves as Q?
That's what, no, the script actually describes them as Q and female Q.
That's funny. Right on.
Yeah. But I just want to make sure that I got my timeline right. So yeah, and remember the female Q is the one that finally gave in and let Q, bang her, finger bang her. Yeah. So guess how long they were dating before they broke up?
1,000,000 years.
4 billion.
Wow. I'm pretty close there.
Yeah. So Trelane being 8,000 years old and being a Q means he's got to be cute.
Yeah, definitely Q kid.
Yeah. Lady Q sounds better. Janeway effing creepier.
Episode, like badly so. Really
I think Janeway should have just done it. She should have taken one for the team.
Eric says Lady Q sounds better. Agree.
Yeah.
Lady Q does indeed. It's almost like
Don't you agree though? Don't you think Janeway should have just taken one for the team?
There's so many times Janeway should have taken one for the team, and I don't even mean in that context, any context, and she always dropped the ball until it was convenient, and then all of a sudden, be damned with the Prime Directive and any other rules she came up with. Her circumstances. That's one of the things that used to irk me so badly about the show. That's why there were whole weeks and seasons where I just did not come back for a while until I was like, all right, let me watch this because I really want my Star Trek fix, and because I just couldn't deal with her sometimes.
Stan, same actor playing multiple parts in Star Trek is like, yeah, that just means it's Tuesday.
No, for real. Oddly, without Quinn, Riker, Q might have existed, and Riker's 1800s great granddaddy might have fought for the wrong side of the Civil War, or maybe not. I don't remember every detail of that episode. Fair enough.
Yeah, I just think that, I'm going to maintain that
Lady Q also played Worf's wife. Yes, that particular character actress was very prolific in Trek. She also played a Vulcan. She played, what's the Vulcan, Talar or whatever. And she played a few different characters. Lore Reloaded. Have a baby and I'll let you go home. No, I'd rather have people die and then basically destroy the concept of the Borg.
You see, that's 100% true.
Accurate.
Yes.
Ding, ding, ding. Accurate.
Rather than be a surrogate mom, she would rather that people die.
So true.
And in fact, rather than be a surrogate mom, she was okay with 125 people dying of old age before they get home.
Constant is so weird. Dr. Salar. Good job, Arabic. Good job.
Oh, that was her name. Yeah, when she was a Vulcan.
Yeah, man,
Yeah.
all kinds of cool stuff.
Yeah. But yeah, so aside from all the hate from our audience, apparently.
But that's what they come for. Like, seriously, they're like
hate on us?
Oh my God! You mostly, but yeah, it's fine. Whatever.
Yeah, but why are they hating on me more than you? You're agreeing with me on the episode.
I'm awesome. What are you talking about? They love me.
Maybe it's the color thing.
This is the part with that's right. They have to be nice to me, otherwise they'll be labeled.
Yeah.
So this is the part where they all turn on me fast. That's awesome. Oh, Stanley says no, just hating on the whole show.
Yeah. You see, I don't understand. I really don't. Because I think that Strange New Worlds, and this season is off to I think.
Oh my God, here it is! I don't hate you guys. I enjoy watching channels that don't watch the actual content and just comment to get the precious YouTube cheese.
Oh no, Laura, that would be Nerdrotic. Or no, Dave Cullen. Dave Cullen really posted a video 48 hours ago.
You're saying that.
That was 48 hours ago. In other words, a few hours before the Strange New Worlds premiere dropped, Dave Cullen drops a review bashing on Spock. And it's like, okay, I know you're just trying to hit the algorithm in case people talk about Strange New Worlds, but how about you actually talk about something instead of just regurgitating all the standard crap?
too. My whole point is, it's like, bro, at some point
Yeah.
I'm just like, then just stop watching.
You know what, Stan? Let me say something about Robert Meyer Burnett. I know everybody loves to say, "Well, Robert Meyer Burnett has worked in the industry and he edited the DVDs, the behind the scenes stuff for Star
How
Trek."
many times have we heard about how many?
And first of all, have you watched those? I'm telling you that a competent sixth grader would have edited those. I'm sorry. No disrespect to Robert Meyer Burnett, but they are not exactly editing masterpieces.
They're not. They're not. Hold on. They're not exactly cinema.
Yeah.
Okay, let's be real here.
Okay, a good YouTube video by like Ryan George is more impressive than the Robert Meyer Burnett DVD.
Reloaded. Robert Meyer Burnett didn't like the new Trek. Oh God! Next up, Water Wet.
Yes, but besides that, and you can. I'm sure it's in the archives somewhere. Back when I used to be on Midnight's Edge as a regular, Robert Meyer Burnett came on the show.
With the guy with the accent?
Yes.
The one who talks with the accent from
Yes,
somewhere.
I was on there. I was on their show as a regular.
Rome. I love his voice. His accent.
Yeah. Oh, he has a great voice. But
oh
gosh, it's like Iceland or something like that.
Oh, something.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I love his voice.
Yeah. But anyway, so Robert Meyer Burnett and I got into about an hour-long argument with each other about whether or not Kathleen Kennedy was good for Lucasfilm.
What is this secret origin that I keep hearing you alluded to? I think, Laura, you need to do like a special video just for us to play here that you narrate that tells us the secret origin of Anti-Trekker, and do it in the same style you've been doing these current videos.
There's not much to tell. I started
from his perspective.
I'll tell you real quick. It's very brief, and it's easy. When I started the Anti-Trekker channel, I was very much opposed to what we saw in Star Trek Discovery. I was very much opposed to what we saw in The Last Jedi, and I was very vocal about that. And at the time, so were other small-time YouTubers like Nerdrotic and Doomcock and others. And I actually, it's funny because my channel got up to about 7, 8, 9,000 before that. And so I started pimping out their channels all the time. And then their channels exploded and mine didn't, but whatever. You know, I'm happy for their success. But at the same time, what happened was what happened was over time, I started realizing that, okay, so yes, is Last Jedi an absolute train wreck of a movie? 100%.
There are 2 videos to prove it, so we know this.
Yeah, I still hate that movie with a passion. I still do not like Star Trek Discovery. Granted, it did gradually get better over the course of its run, but it went from the worst Star Trek crap ever to not quite the worst Star Trek crap ever. And granted, Section 31 helped make it so that even,
Laura Reloaded says, I'll be honest, Salty, you gained a huge amount of respect from me when you stuck to your morals. I think if you stayed Fandom Menace, you would be larger than me. Unlike them, you chose integrity.
I appreciate that.
I'm sure, and that integrity, no doubt, pays his rent and electricity bill every single month.
Yes, in fact, I call up my mortgage company and say, "Hey, how much integrity would you like?"
I'm just gonna put that on my Integrity credit card here. Integrity Bank.
Yeah.
We're absolutely worth
Integrity Farms.
No, for real.
But yeah, unfortunately, that's the problem. Sticking to being, because one thing that I said when I first started the channel is that I will always give my honest opinion.
Right.
And I've stuck to that. And the problem is sticking to that means that when Captain Marvel came out, I said, it was all right. Okay. And because I thought Captain Marvel was it was a mid film. It was not the best Marvel movie. It was not, but it wasn't a train wreck of a film. It was just had some problems.
So let me give you a quick thought, just give you my thought on that idea of what you're talking about. My problem with, and this is the difference between me and say folks like Nerdrotic and them. I never got to get to anything having to do with the complaints people had about Captain Marvel. I watched it and went, this is incoherent. I couldn't even get to any of the complaints that I heard, the like sexist complaints and them she you and all that nonsense that they like you. For me, it was like, hold on, before we get to those criticisms, guys, this is just written badly. Like,
well, I didn't even think it was. Here's my problem with it. I think Captain Marvel would have been a much better film if you had just done a couple of minor tweaks. One, let Brie Larson act because she can act. She can show emotion. Watch King Kong. She is able to emote. It's not that Brie Larson is a plank of wood. That was an intentional choice by the director. Number two is give her someone to fight who feels like a genuine threat instead of making every fight just a joke.
Yeah.
And so
it says, maybe I missed something in the background, but I swear it seems they turned on you and you decided to stay. This stuff sucks, but isn't destroying the culture.
You know what? No, I don't remember saying that, but really the thing that really pushed the edge was Captain Marvel.
I think he's using that figuratively because the idea is you rather than staying on the hate train, you were like, okay, this stuff's clearly bad, but it isn't that bad. Like as bad as you guys. Right. You guys are painting it out.
Well, and that's kind of what I was saying. Like Captain Marvel, I gave a 6 out of 10, which coming from me, that is not a glowing review.
No, I think if I go back, I think that's the first 4 out of 10 I've ever given.
Right.
To me, 5 average, and this to me felt below average.
Right. And remember, to me, 5 out of 10 isn't just an average movie. It's a movie where watching the movie or watching paint dry is a toss-up. Whereas a 4 out of 10 to me, it's an actively bad experience to watch the movie.
So this has become the Salty Trekker interview hour, and I'm down for it. Yeah. Stanley asked, when was the switch from anti to Salty Trekker?
Okay, so that came short. Not too long after that.
He wants to know what event, like what happened.
Okay, so there was an event. I'll get to that in just a second. So when I gave Captain Marvel a 6 out of 10. I became persona non grata on Friday Night Tights. Doomcock refused to answer me anymore. And
hold on. The guy with the mask?
Yes.
The guy with yeah,
because he and I were like messaging regularly. I've been on, I was on his live streams a few times, but then all of a sudden he wouldn't even talk to me. And then, shortly after that,
his retrospective. Yes, he does. Keep going. Let's go.
Yeah. And then Midnight's Edge shortly thereafter said, "Yeah, we're going in a different direction," and so it was just like, okay. Now I'm not saying there was a conspiracy. I'm not claiming that.
I will say this: Midnight's Edge lately, I think, has also begun to notice something because they've started getting Shock of Shocks fair.
Maybe they realize that things have gone too far.
Not just that, but maybe he realizes he's kind of reached a stale, and you can't genuinely grow this way.
Right.
You can keep a steady empire, but you can't like grow and do more and expand. Whereas I feel like Midnight's Edge wants to actually be somewhat a news resource or an outlet of some kind.
Right. Now, I'm not going to get into the dirty laundry there, Stanley, but Mecha Random's fall from favor was not because of her opinions as much as some personal drama that happened behind the scenes.
Do I know this character?
No, she was another YouTuber that, alongside me, was also a regular on most of these channels, and then dropped off the radar. Right on. But her thing was there was some personal things going on that involved her and other people, and I'm not getting into that because
there was a brief period of time like YouTubers were really like that's what happened at Screen Junkies with Andy Senior and his old in the past, and I mean like there's a bunch of like. Weird. There was this era of YouTubers where people were just using it to bag people. I'm like, bro, what are y'all doing? What happened to the reason you got on this thing?
So then I had a long heart-to-heart conversation with my friend Stuart Foley, aka the head of Trek Yards, and one of the things that he pointed out is that the anti-Trekker logo, persona, title gave people the distinct idea that my channel was designed to be negative, that I was anti-Star Trek, that I was, and so
I can see that. Okay.
And I took that criticism from Captain Foley to heart, and so that's when I decided to change to Salty Trekker. Because I actually think that actually describes me better anyway. Because I'm certainly not anti-Star. The reason, and just so you know, the original idea that in my head canon of anti-Trekker was not that I was anti-Star Trek. It's that in my generation, and yes, I know I'm ancient and all that, my generation means when Star Trek, the original series, was the only Star Trek, when there were actual Star Trek conventions, not Comic-Cons or sci-fi conventions.
Star Trek conventions, they were great.
Yeah. But back in those days, there were two kind of camps of Star Trek fans. There were the Trekkers and the Trekkies.
Yes,
right? Now,
I recall this. I was a Trekker.
Now, a Trekker was generally, well, at least West Coast. I don't know about for you in the South, but West Coast, a Trekker was generally a person who subscribed to the if you will, of Gene Roddenberry, the utopian ideal of the future kind of stuff. A Trekkie was a person who just loved the show. And I was firmly in the Trekkie camp because I knew and keep in mind, just because of where I grew up and some of the people I knew when I grew up and stuff, I knew from a very young age that Gene Roddenberry was full of fecal matter. And so I was never, I knew
the guy that made this thing I love was full of garbage.
No, I didn't think Star Trek was bad, but I knew that, for example, the vision of the original series was not Gene Roddenberry's vision. Fair. Gene Roddenberry's vision, if you want to know Gene Roddenberry's vision, just watch The Cage. It was a fairly typical all-white cast on, going around with aliens that want to explore human sexuality because he wanted to be about sex. He really did.
Well, look at the outfits. Phoenix Gundam says, wanting overall continuity, consistency, and quality stories isn't being anti-Trek. People need to stop having that mindset.
Not saying that is. I don't think that there's anything wrong with criticizing, like, if you think, for example, if you don't like the Gorn storyline, I think that it's a cheap shot to say, well, it was too much like Best of Both Worlds because I'm to sleep at the end. No, tell me why the story itself. I mean,
there's no offense. There's no original concepts under the sun.
Right.
So every story has been told in some version. It's just how you package it and wrap it up.
But what I want to know is, what about the story? Like I said, I think that the technobabble scene, it made me want to punch my screen. However,
outside of it happened, I was like, I know he's freaking out right now.
Yeah. Outside of that, I thought it was well executed. Did I think it was the greatest episode of Strange New Worlds? No. However, then you go to the Trelane episode. I thoroughly enjoyed the Trelane episode as soon as I figured out what was going on.
Jesse Gender said that these were safe. These were safe episodes. Good, excellent episodes, but safe. And I get that. My thing is, at this point in time, no offense, after all the deconstruction and different angles, I'm kind of ready for safe.
Let me ask you,
storytelling.
Jesse, I know, comes from a different perspective than most of the people from my channel, so I would love to know from Jesse, what's safe about it specifically that you object to?
It's a good question. So I started watching the review. I'll watch the rest of it to see what they say.
Yeah, because I don't think of it as necessarily safe or not safe. Because if you look at the original series, was the Doomsday Machine safe? Well, yeah, but was it a great episode? There's a lot.
See, and I disagree. I don't think Doomsday Machine is safe.
How was it risky?
No, I think okay. I think first we have to understand what we're saying when we say risky or not.
When I think safe versus risky, I'm not thinking in universe. I'm thinking about the writing and the impact and all that.
But what I mean is, so when I say safe, I mean it didn't ask a lot of us. It fed us mostly from piece to piece to piece. When something is not safe, a lot of people are going to think I'm crazy. I think the new Superman was not a safe move. He forewent, or he foregoed all of the normal setup stuff and trusted the audience. That is not a safe move ever.
I'll
It
tell you.
allowed, characters to come in and do things. So I feel like for me, Doomsday Machine walked you very safely through the scenario. You at no point did I not understand what they were presenting to me.
I'll tell you the most unsafe episode of Strange New Worlds, Subspace Rhapsody.
Okay, that's fair. I would have said the animation one. I would have said the crossover.
No. I think Subspace Rhapsody, that was a risky thing to do, a straight up musical. Granted, it's not the first musical.
To steep it in something sci-fi, even if sci-fi goofy.
Yeah.
To me, there's no difference that episode and the Trelane one we just saw. I feel like
it's a reality warping episode.
Correct. They're doing
which there's a ton of throughout the history of Trek.
Oh, here we go. Okay, so Phoenix. Okay, safe is keeping in continuity without making massive changes. The Gorn are permanently xenomorphs with ships that eat people. Nothing was safe.
Okay, I will say this. First of all,
I don't necessarily agree, but I see where now I understand where you're coming from. Thank you.
Right. Okay, so I would say the Gorn aren't not safe because they did actually try to. Let's take what was just a guy in a dumb rubber suit and try to make something out of it. And they totally changed what your expectations of the Gorn were. However, as far as them just being xenomorphs, I get really tired of that because if you look at the way the Gorn reproduce, it is nothing like how the xenomorphs reproduce, except that they use a host. Now, guess what they based that on? It wasn't the xenomorphs. It was a particular type of hornet that actually lays its eggs inside of caterpillars, and then the offspring burst out of the caterpillar, killing it.
Yeah, it's more, and it's funny because they're not gestating while laying. It's literally just they have raw.
They put embryos in you basically.
Right when they stab. As soon as they stab you, it's part of whatever's going in you. So
right.
yeah,
it's not like the xenomorphs actually impregnate you. But what the Gorn do is they spit their embryos on you and let the embryos feed on you.
Right.
And which is exactly what happens in real nature on Earth today.
Oh, hold on. Great pull. Phoenix right here. Good call. Fair. It's the Magog from Andromeda. That's fair.
I don't know. I haven't watched Andromeda.
Oh my God, so Andromeda is one of those really wacky created by Gene Roddenberry. When the truth is, it was like from a written sketch of an idea,
right?
That Gene Roddenberry had, which I believe they borrowed heavily from for Discovery, because it's the idea that their version of what the Federation is, that has a different name. I forget. I think it was the Union or something. Who knows? Breaks down, and because of whatever, and civilization falls apart. And
like Discovery Season 3 is what you're saying.
Right. Yeah, how the made everything in the future all disconnected and everything. And literally in that show, they have to go around remaking peace with everything. So, and rebuilding the thing, much like Discovery does later. Right. So, yeah, I get it.
So, I don't think that they played it safe when it comes to the Gorn. Did they borrow some ideas from...
Good call.
Absolutely. But at the same time, and the same thing with like the Gorn being able to see an extended part of the electromagnetic spectrum, that's not because of Predator. That's because actually on Earth today, certain types of lizards see in infrared.
Yeah.
And so they didn't make it up because, let's rip off Predator and Alien. But that's what people saw that just wanted to come up with a reason to yell.
Hold on. I do get the comparison.
Sure.
And I would argue that probably Xenomorphs and Predator also have a common, like the people who were inventing them were researching really freaky animals and really freaky creature affectations, and were like, ooh, that would be cool. So in reality, both things are probably based in very similar lore, like looking up and different things. More than they are copying just strictly, because no offense, nobody invented Predator and Aliens in a vacuum.
Yeah.
Okay, people have to come up with those things.
Right, and same thing. Okay, so then you get into the ships eating people.
Also, how is Salty not seen Andromeda after 30 years?
I just, you know what? Honestly, I think I watched like the pilot and I was like, not interested.
Well, and it was part of that power pack where it was like Xena, Hercules, Andromeda, and the other
Yeah,
one.
I didn't really care.
A minute, yeah.
And again, remember, keep in mind, I'm a Trekkie, not a Trekker. So just because Gene Roddenberry's name's on it doesn't mean I want to see it. You know, so
Whereas I was the opposite. That's the only reason why I watched it.
right, and I'm sure, and Trekkers were flocking to anything that said "from the mind of Gene Roddenberry." Got to fly to it.
Well, that and Techno Wars from Shat, because I was like, it's
Tech Wars.
tangentially connected to someone having to do with something. That show he did.
I will admit, Shatner is the only reason I watched T.J. Hooker at all. But
Totally, no, for real.
and honestly, Shatner's the only reason I tried out Boston Legal, which is a great
Same.
show. Yeah.
Wonderful show.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Shatner's best performance, I think, of his career was Boston Legal.
Easily.
Danny
hate
Crane.
yeah. Oh my God, so much.
Danny Crane's not an argument. Yes, it is. Danny Crane.
Yeah, man.
But yeah, so as far as the ship eating people, the Gorn are purely carnivorous, and they did establish early on that they save people to be food.
Well, and the ship wasn't eating them. I felt like
The ship was storing them.
That's right.
And then
breaking them down into food for storage.
yeah.
I believe 100%. So that
Yeah.
so the other Gorn can eat whenever they need to.
Yeah, and then whatever non-organic material that there was left in the poop pile, which ended up giving them weapons. Tech Wars, what? Earth?
Any plans to watch the new Aliens on Earth?
Absolutely. You haven't heard about that?
I have. I want to see it too. I saw the trailer.
Alien Earth?
The trailer looks amazing. I'll watch it. When
yes.
is that? When's that coming out? Is it on my calendar?
I don't know. But yeah, definitely. But it's not even really digesting them as much. I mean, yes, you could argue that because digesting.
And the ever so convenient. Hey, look, there's a little poop pile with weapons in it.
Yeah,
amazing.
But it does make sense.
It made sense. Super contrived and convenient in that moment.
But I mean, come on, it's Star Trek.
Yeah, totally.
Like nothing contrived to there are some times where things happen and you're just like, wait a minute, what? Because think about this. In the Squire of Gothos, which, like I said, I watched right after watching.
That's awesome, by the way. I should have done that. I didn't even think about that. I need to show that to Mrs. Know-It-All, that episode. She lets me show her old Trek episodes when they're like this, where it's relevant to something.
Right.
Like I showed her the Tribbles one after we saw Tribbles and stuff. She was like, I want to see what those are. And I was like, well, you got to watch these episodes. And we watched it all. So
here you want to talk about stupid things in Trek, right? So in Squire of Gothos, Kirk and Sulu are abducted. They beam down a landing party to try and track them down. They find Trelane. They meet Trelane. They talk. Meanwhile, on the ship, Spock is trying to figure out a way to communicate with them because Trelane has it blocked. They finally figure out, and Spock beeps their communicator, and they beam everybody up. Right. So it's like, okay, cool. So then later, Trelane comes to the bridge of the Enterprise, zaps everybody down to the planet. Nobody has any equipment at all. In fact, that's even a line when DeSalle's trying to go after Trelane, and Sulu's like, stop, we don't even have our phasers. And because nobody has anything because they were just beamed down from the bridge. And after the breaks the mirror, they just beam up.
We're getting so sweaty in this.
No explanation, right?
But is that what you're basing your Q or a technologically advanced species thing based on?
Well, if Trelane needed the technology, and keep in mind, he did need even after he broke the mirror and then he came back, he said, this time my instrumentality is unbreakable, just meaning that there was no way for Kirk to get to it. He didn't say, this time I'm not using tech. And even like when they talked about, when Kirk and Spock were talking about, like, could a device that would fit in this house keep the atmosphere out of this area like we're seeing? And Spock said, no, a device capable of doing that would have to be immense. And that's why Kirk took the shot at the mirror, because they figured that it wasn't going to cause the environment to crash in, because Trelane was using a different piece of tech for that. And Trelane even explains it to them in very great detail. He's like, we, that is I and others, have come up with a method of moving matter from place to place and changing its form.
Yeah, totally.
He's not talking about we can just do it. He's talking about they have tech that can do it.
Right.
Now,
So
does that mean that the Q don't...
So do you like you said, do you think this is much more of a Thor and Asgard type thing where they're like, hey, this is technology not distinguishable from magic sort of scenario?
Right. I think that's what the Q/Trelane are. Now, do they have innate abilities beyond that of mortal men? Yes, obviously, because their native form has at least partially as an energy being.
Copy.
But and they can apparently transform from energy being to corporeal form, and who knows if so. I would say the Q probably have a Metron level innate ability, maybe.
Okay.
What the heck is my phone going off like crazy?
Oh no! Oh my gosh! Every notification you have is went off.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
The lightning warnings, I guess.
Ah.
And so, anyway, but
asks we like some of his elementary school buddies made a thing. Isn't Trelane a kid? I mean, we're all look. Okay, let's be fair. Always remember, we're trying to make sense